Collide. This is Andre The Fury Fili. You're listening to Verbal Scrap.
This is Rick Rieger, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast.
This is Keto Andrews, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast. This is Nan Fan, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap Podcast.
I'm a fighter. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to fight.
Hey, this is Dave Hirschbein, MMAGOLD, and you're listening to the Verbal Scrap.
I've worked so hard to do what I got to do in here. I took so much blood for this sport. I took so much pain, everything for the sport.
Hey, y'all, this is Zeke Johnston. You're listening to SRMMA.com Verbal Scrap. Stay tuned. They got some good stuff coming up.
Yes, we do. This is Johnny Waugh with SRMMA.com on the 28th episode of the Verbal Scrap Podcast, Titans Collide. There's so much news to get into. We got Bellator 78 highlights, Titans Cage 4 review, some Tank Abbott trash talk, which is always good, a UFC 154 extended view, and first and foremost, we have special guest Andre The Fury Fili, who's also the West Coast Fighting Featherweight Champion. How are you doing today, Andre?
How are you? What's going on?
Man, I'm excited to have you on the show. You got that big Tachi Palace 15 fight happening November 15th. You're going to be going against... so let me know, because I knew it was Diaz originally. Are you fighting Saunders now, or what's the matchup?
The game plan is I'm fighting Saunders now.
Nice.
I think something happened with Adrian Diaz. Some real-life stuff came up, and that he had to handle, so I hope that goes well for him, and hope everything's good with him. And, so now I'm set to bang with Saunders, and I think it's a good matchup.
Well, you were originally set to bang with him at TPF 14, and you ended up with Ricky Wallace, which I have to say was an outstanding matchup. I wanted to ask you about that really quickly. You know, that was on Inside MMA, and a lot of people were talking about it. Now that it's been a while since that fight, what are your thoughts looking back and kind of the recognition that you've gotten from that Tachi Palace 14 affair?
It feels great, man. It feels good to have a win over a tough guy like that. And it feels good. It feels good to get a little recognition. Seeing myself on Inside MMA was probably cooler than winning the fight. Honestly, to hear Boss Rutan talk about my fight was like,
oh yeah,
that's like something you kind of like. It sounds corny, but that's something you dream about when you're a kid.
Oh, I feel you.
Inside MMA and have Boss Rutan commentating over your fights, and I don't know, man. It feels great. It feels cool, and I'm glad I got the opportunity.
I totally feel you about the Boss Rutan thing, man. When I never got to be on Inside MMA or anything, but when I met him in person, I felt like a little kid. So I totally understand what you mean about that, bro. But
he's like a hero, dude. He's like almost like not real, He's like almost like a comic book character or something. Like Boss Rutan is like, I don't want to say bigger than MMA, but he's like, he's huge, man. He's like a legend. So to have him talking about me kneeing somebody else in the face is like checking off the bucket list,
Oh, shout out to Boss Rutan. Check out Here Comes the Boom in theaters now. It is a hilarious film. I wanted to get back to TPF 14. Now you were scheduled to fight Saunders. Now you're actually going to get the matchup. How stoked are you to fight an opponent that's got, such recognition, especially being involved with the Ultimate Fighter? What's it like now that it's actually going to happen?
It's really cool to get an opportunity like that. He's a tough guy. He's got a great record. He's got a big name behind him. Like you said, he just got off Ultimate Fighter. And I think it's a good matchup. I think we're going to put on an exciting fight. And I'm just excited to have the opportunity, really. I really wanted to be on the season of Ultimate Fighter that he tried out for, actually. And now I've met a bunch of guys that trained on Team Faber. They've come over and trained at Alpha Male with us. I've met a bunch of the guys and stuff. So, it's kind of cool that it all kind of comes full circle and I get to fight someone that was on that show. So.
If you checked out Titans Cage 4, you saw some Team Alpha Male amateurs pick up titles. What's it like now? You got such a good amateur crop of talent. You got guys leading you, and you guys got guys in the middle rungs that are trying to find their way. I mean, how difficult would you say it would be for a fighter to kind of just come in and even be able to get recognition in a team that's so stacked with talent?
Dude, it's awesome, man. It's been a crazy experience the last 2 years to come in and kind of start. I mean, I'm still a young guy, but kind of start, low man on the totem pole and work my way up. And I think that that, you know, people start to give you a lot more respect once you start winning fights, and they see that, you know, you really are committed to it, and you're not only, you know, taking from the team, because it's Team Alpha Male, you know, there's like a wealth of knowledge to take, and there's all these opportunities, but I feel like now I'm finally starting to give back as well too, you know, where I can put in like my own 2 cents and help guys with certain things maybe, or even just be a good sparring partner to top guys, you know, when they need rounds, and it feels good, man. It feels like a family. So getting recognition and getting love from guys on a team as good as Team Alpha Male is like kind of a dream come true, you know, like to really be a part of it, you know, because there's a difference between training somewhere and really being a part of a team. And I feel like, you know, me and a lot of the other young guys, like my buddy Anthony Avila, and even the young guys you're talking about that fought at Titans Cage, a couple of amateur guys, Chris Holdsworth, you know, Mike Bravo, like a lot of us young guys, you know, are starting to really kind of pave our own way and make opportunities for ourselves, and having Team Alpha Male behind us just kind of helps that out, you know, and it feels good to be part of it.
Well, I'm really happy that you talked about Anthony Avila, because he's also on the card down at TPF 15, you know, and what's it like to kind of have a brother like him really kind of being on the cards with you, moving along as you move along, and you guys are pretty similar in record. I mean, you guys are only like a win apart, I believe, and you guys hang out all the time, especially if you're friends with Dave Hirschman, you know, you see all those photos of you guys all having a big kind of festival. What's that like being with a guy like him that you kind of not only have that teammate bond with, but more of like a brotherly bond?
It's awesome, man. He's actually sitting next to me right now on the way to workout.
Nice.
Oh, what's up, guys?
Yeah, what's up, my man?
That's Anthony Avila, who, in my opinion, is the top-ranked 45er in all of California, not just Northern, but all of California, so mark that down.
Oh, yeah. You heard it here.
No, it's cool. Like, we actually just got a 5-bedroom, like, big, huge house in Del Paso Heights together with a couple friends. So, you know, we're living together now, we're training together, and we're just kind of just trying to take it by storm, you know, like we're doing our thing. We both started to make like real lifestyle adjustments and make big changes. We're focused, you know. It's hard sometimes being young and grinding it out through a fight camp. It's like, you know, you want to go out and party, and you want to, you know, chase girls, and you want to, you know, all your friends are getting drunk and other things, and you know, it's around you, and it's hard to not partake in shit like that. So when you have someone to kind of go through the grind of a fight camp with you, when you have someone to go through the grind of a fight camp with you, it makes it easier, you know. It's cool. It's cool to have someone to go through that with. You know, I was actually talking to Anthony about it yesterday, where it's kind of normal to us, you know, because we become good friends, and we're kind of used to it, you know, just grinding stuff out and training together and helping each other get better. So we get used to it, you know. But when other people tell us how cool it is, and you take a step back and we kind of realize it is cool, you know. A lot of people have to do it by themselves, and you know, we're friends and we're teammates, and we get to go through it together. That's a pretty cool, special thing. So definitely feel blessed to have him as my friend and training partner, and just it's a wild ride, you know. So we're enjoying it.
Well, I had 3 more things before you, because since you're here, you know, I want to pick your brain. First and foremost, I wanted to kind of ask you about the music side of your life. You know, I was able to catch one of your shows recently, and you got an open mic coming up with your band Boss Biz. You know, can you tell us a little bit more about it and let the people know the other side of you? You know, we had another piece coming out soon that I wasn't really happy with because we didn't have enough Boss Biz information in it. So I'm trying to get more out of you. You know, kind of hook it up and let me know a little bit more of the background and let the fans know what's going on your guys' schedule.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Boss Biz. Boss Biz is like the crew of kids I grew up with. Sorry, we're driving. I just saw some wacky shit down the road. I just saw a guy riding a bike through Del Paso Heights carrying like furniture on his bike. Yeah. So Boss Biz, dude, shout out to them. That's like my family. We grew up together. Just a bunch of wild, crazy ass kids, and then we started making hip hop. So our hip hop group is called Boss Biz. We've been doing that since we were probably like 8th grade. I was like 13 years old. You know, just making music, and it's cool. It's cool to express yourself. It's cool to have fun, and you know, it helps with girls a little bit too, being a musician. So that's not bad. Yeah. So that's one of the groups I'm in is Boss Biz. A lot of love to them. And then I just started doing vocals for a rock band called It's Godzilla. They all have love for those guys too, man. So it's cool. It's cool to have not only have music as a way to express myself, but have different mediums in music, like be able to do vocals for a rock band and make hip hop. It's cool to express yourself. And like we were saying in the other interview, there's not as much pressure. It's still like a fun rush to perform in front of people, and there's still a little bit of pressure, and you want to do a good job, but it's more real, like fun. Whereas like fighting, there's so much on the line. If you fuck up while you're playing music, everyone just so stoked to be watching live music, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Most people won't even get it. If you mess up, most people won't even get it. They're just like so high energy, like playing music.
Just glad
like,
there's noise, man.
It's so raw, it's just like fighting. It's completely raw. It's just you in front of other people. You're doing what you love. But if you fuck up when you play music, you don't get knocked out. So
yeah. Well, I mean, unless you mess up and get hit in the head with a bass or something, then you might get knocked out.
Yeah. I mean, there could be, apart from a crazy mishap tragedy on stage, I think you're not going to get knocked out.
Well, we're talking to
anything's possible, but I think you're a lot more likely to get knocked out in a fight than on stage.
Well, we're with Andre Fili, the West Coast Fighting Featherweight Champion. I had two more things for you. You talk about all these honeys and stuff that you turned down, but I know damn well that there's ladies that you are picking up. And I wanted to ask you, what would be, if a lady wanted to walk up to you at a show, what would be a pickup line that Andre Fili would fall for?
If there's any girls listening, don't even talk to me. Just kiss me. Like, I don't want to hear anything. Just walk up, grab me inappropriately, and just kiss me. Like, kiss me too. And kiss Anthony too. In any order, it's fine. We're scumbags. We don't really care. You can pick whoever in any order, as long as both of us get some love.
Hey, well, the last thing I wanted to ask you is about the TPF 15 fight. Now that you've gotten that last victory, and you've gotten the attention of Inside MMA and stuff like that, when you were able to pull off such a really big victory with Ricky Wallace, what are you looking to do in this fight, and where are you hoping that the next Tachi victory could take you?
I'm looking to just perform. I'm not one of those guys that really likes to like predict what I'm gonna do, because fights are madness. Like, they're crazy. Like, shit changes in the blink of an eye. So I just want to have a good fight. I want to perform, and I want to entertain people, and I want to get the win, whether it's on the ground or standing up or wherever the fight goes. I want to make the right decisions, and I want to look impressive, and I want to get the win. Who knows how the fight's going to go? But I want to look impressive, and I want to get the win. And obviously, after this fight, I want to go to the UFC. I want to be in the UFC with my bros. That's all I want.
Sure.
It's not too much to ask, I think. I want to fucking fight in the UFC. I want to hang out with my friends, and I want to make music and have a good time. I just want to get to the UFC and everything. I think everything else will fall into place if I can get to the fucking UFC. So that's the goal. Win this fight, look impressive. Hopefully the right people see it, and sign a UFC contract.
Well, we're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back with all kinds of MMA news. And that was West Coast Fighting Featherweight Champion Andre The Fury Fili, MMA Gold Managed Man. Thank you so much for your time, Andre.
Thank you. Hey, can I give a couple shout-outs?
Oh, do whatever you want, man. It's your time.
All right. MMA Gold. Love you, Dave. Thanks for all the help. Boss Biz, obviously. Team Alpha Male. PLA Skateboarding in Folsom. Check them out. Lucky's Barbershop in Folsom. Check them out. And everyone else who supports me. Also, West Coast Nutrition. If you don't buy your supplements from West Coast Nutrition, you're fucking up. Go there, buy your supplements, and thanks for listening.
SRMMA.com presents Verbal Scrap. Fight news with a passion. SRMMA.com presents the Verbal Scrap Podcast, your source for comprehensive combat coverage. Find awesome fight photos and videos. Facebook.com/SRMMA. Tweet us your fight thoughts at SRMMA Tweets. Live coverage at SRMMA.com. SRMMA.com, reaching thousands of fight fans daily.
That was Andre The Fury Fili. Want to give a big shout out to him, man. Look forward to seeing him at TPF 15. You can check out TachiPalaceCasino.com for more ticket information. You are on Verbal Scrap Podcast, episode 28. Titans collide because we got Titans Cage 4 review. So much stuff to talk about. Angelo Trevino able to retain his welterweight title. Dow Tep was able to take home his title as well. Cameron Quiggle's on the show. Jacob Pupo, the new featherweight champion of Titans Cage, also on the show. So much news. We got Bellator 78 highlights. Tank Abbott interview, which was hilarious. But I wanted to talk to you mostly about UFC 154. I mean, we're kind of at a lull. There's not too many UFC events. The next one's in Macau, with Rich Franklin taking on Kung Lee, I believe. But Carlos Condit and GSP are set to take each other on at UFC 154. And before I get into any more of that, let me tell you about our show sponsor, MMAGOLD.com. MMA Gold, they are a full-service fighter sponsorship and apparel company devoted to the fighter. They represent and support their fighters in the sport of mixed martial arts, treating each and every fighter like an individual business. You can check out MMAGOLD.com for more information. UFC 154. Carlos Condit is the interim welterweight champion because George St. Pierre was injured. Everybody had the opportunity to, kind of contemplate what the natural-born killer was going to be able to do against GSP. And if you guys didn't get an opportunity to see it last time, Carlos Condit defeated the Diaz, man. He defeated Nick Diaz, and I thought it was a really great strategy by him. And now he's set to take on GSP to kind of unify the welterweight title, see who's really the welterweight champion. There's a little bit of a preview online. For you guys that don't know, Martin Kampmann and Johnny Hendricks are also on the card. They're going to be battling for the number one contender spot. But let's take an opportunity to hear a little bit of the UFC's production of UFC 154.
You put two guys in there, two of the best in the world to fight, with an opportunity to fight the absolute best in the world, and fight GSP.
Carlos Condit, the former WEC champion. Nick Diaz, the former Strikeforce champion. Here we go. Oh, good kicks by Condit. He's hurt. Carlos Condit is the new UFC interim welterweight champion.
Condit won, he gets the next shot.
UFC 154, Carlos Condit, the interim welterweight champion, will face George St. Pierre, the current welterweight champion, for the undisputed title at the Bell Center in Montreal. We have not seen George St. Pierre inside the octagon in quite a long time. He sustained a significant knee injury that required ACL surgery, and it takes a long time to rehabilitate from.
It's been a year and a half. I can't wait to fight. When I got a green light from the doctor that I was able to start training for competing again, I was very excited. The hardest part to being out for so long is to be unable to do what you like to do for a living.
He might just finish it, Joe.
I knew that this would be the biggest challenge of my whole career, because not only I have to fight the toughest opponent I ever fought, I have to come back from a long layoff.
We're going to find out whether or not George St. Pierre has the same amount of spring in his step. He has the same amount of power in his double leg takedowns. We don't know how significant the damage was to that knee.
I'm expecting George to be, in top form. I'm training, I'm preparing, for the best GSP. He's going to be prepared, but I want to fight the best George and beat that guy.
Let's do this thing. Condit with a flying knee. Carlos Condit is the interim champion. He's an amazing fighter. He's a guy who's been around a long time. He is a former champion in the WEC. He's the real deal. Continuing the pressure. It is all over with 10 seconds left in the fight.
Carlos Condit, he can adapt to any opponent that he fights. That's why he's so good.
Big armbar. Oh, that's it. What an armbar. Are you kidding me?
I'm fighting the best guy in the world, but I'm on the precipice of achieving my life goal. Mentally, I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to be able to put all that stuff aside and just do what I came to do.
Which was take on George St. Pierre. You can check out UFC.com for more information. That's UFC 154. GSP's return against Carlos Condit for the undisputed UFC welterweight title. Also on the card, Martin Kampmann versus Johnny Hendricks. We'll get into some more of that later. I also wanted to get into Tank Abbott. This was an awesome interview with Tank Abbott. For you guys that don't know, he's a UFC legend. Began in UFC 6, I believe, which was the first official UFC under the Zuffa banner. And he had an interview with Aaron Trudeau. He talked to Tito Ortiz and all his next possible fight and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's always good to hear what Tank Abbott might have to say. So let's hear a little bit of what his thoughts might be.
Aaron Trudeau here with one of the all-time greats, legendary MMA NHB fighter, Tank Abbott. Tank, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing very well. Just here to watch the fights, and I can't wait to see him go down.
Today I was thinking about MMA and NHB, and there truly is a difference. What are you thinking about the state of MMA today compared to NHB in terms of excitement of fights and the difference between one being more of a sport?
Well, mixed martial arts, MMA, is more of a sport, and no-holds-barred fighting is what I'm into. You know, you just go in there and two guys enter and the toughest guy leaves on his feet, the other guy usually on his back, and that's what I'm more aptly to like.
What do you think about the current champions today, like GSP, John Jones, Anderson Silva? What do you think about the performances of some of the champions?
Well, you know, what do you say? Hardly know who any of them are. That speaks volumes within itself. But you know, they're out there doing their little martial art technique things and getting down. And good luck to them, I guess.
You had a match about 6 months or a year ago, a backyard match against Scott Rizzo. I actually enjoyed watching it because it truly was NHB. There was no stand-up. You know, there wasn't any referee interference. And that's how a real fight is. It's not somebody breaking it up or standing you up. What were your thoughts about the fight?
Well, that's happened hundreds of times. Usually there's a camera there, and yeah, absolutely. It's about the bare essence of real fighting is. You get in there and you throw down. There's no weight classes to hide behind. There's no rules to hide behind. There's no judges. There's no time limits. You know, that could be in the back of a bar, and you better do good or you might be going home in a morgue wagon, a van.
A morgue wagon or van. You know what's awesome is after a couple minutes, if you really try and think of how you got to where you're talking now, it's really difficult. But I like listening to Tank Abbott talk. He's like a wise sage of MMA grandpa knowledge. And his beard is huge. If you haven't seen his beard lately, it is huge. And he's always got something really nice to say about Tito Ortiz, which is always a pleasantry. So let's get into some other national news for you guys. Let's get into an MMA Gold update. Some MMA Gold fighters making news. Josh Hinkle moved into KOTC #1 contendership after his decision victory October 13th at King of the Cage. So congratulations to Josh Hinkle. Some guys that are going to be making a move to Bellator from the MMA Gold stable. Joshua Pelt, November 2nd, is going to be fighting in Canada. He was originally scheduled to fight Freddie Big at the Tachi Palace 15 fight, but now he's set to move into a Bellator fight. So good luck to Joshua Pelt. And we're going to be having a piece coming out at srmma.com. For you guys that don't know, I really appreciate all you guys tuning in and listening to the Verbal Scrap podcast. srmma.com, we cover all kinds of things, kickboxing, MMA, boxing, whatever you got that's combat related, we'll cover it. We like fight news. And if you guys are interested in getting down with what we got to do, you can check out our social media, facebook.com/srmma. Find us on Twitter at SRMMA Tweets, and you can always check out our Google, Facebook, whatever that is. So let's get into some of the rest of that. Dustin Neese is going to be making his move to Bellator as well, taking on Marlon Sandro, which is not an easy task. Also of the MMA Gold stable. So good luck to all these gentlemen. Joshua Pelt, Dustin Neese in Bellator, and Josh Hinkle going to be making his move to take on the titleist in King of the Cage. Now, let's get into some local news from the Northern California area. Titans Cage 4. For you guys that weren't able to check it out live, you can check out srmma.com. We got all kinds of coverage, and if you check out our Facebook, we got tons of photos from our top photographers, and feel free to share it, like it. If you like our work, like our page, and I swear we'll like you back. Whatever you got, you can share it with us, and I will like it, because that's all Facebook is for. On the card, some SenCal MMA news. Cameron Quiggle moved his record to 3-0. You can also find that out on the SR homepage. By TKOing Fabian Gutierrez. I was able to speak to Quiggle after the fight, so let's hear what Cameron had to say. This is Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 4 with a victorious Cameron Quiggle. You're 3-0 now. How did it feel to get the victory?
Feels great, man. It was a hard fight, and he had me worried for a second. My cardio wasn't where it was supposed to be, but in the end, I came out on top, so I'm happy.
Well, the first 2 rounds, it looked like he was really willing to engage with you. Was that something you expected coming from him?
Yes, but at the same time, no, because I know he's a jits guy, but once we got to the ground, I mean, he wasn't throwing too many arm bars or triangles at me, but when we were on the ground, I couldn't really throw any punches, so I was let's just stand up and bang, you know what I mean? So, but victorious, so I can't be happier, you know what I mean? So.
Well, what was the feeling, getting your hand raised in victory in Titans Cage when you see a lot of guys on the card, putting down wars inside the cage, and you're one of them to come out victorious at an establishment like Titans Cage? That's putting their name together pretty well. What's that victory feel like?
It's great, man. I mean, hopefully my name will get out there, and I'll get to some bigger shows. Hopefully become pro soon, and hopefully to the UFC one day, man. I'm glad to fight for Titans Cage. Can't wait to do it again.
Well, last question I had before I let you go. You're undefeated in amateurs. What's your plan as far as combat's concerned? Do you plan to kind of journey a little bit more in the amateur ranks, see how it's going, or what are your overall plans as far as MMA?
I want to go to the top. I want to get to the UFC. I want that belt. But for right now, I'm just going to stay with my team, talk to my coaches, see how many. When they think I'm ready, then I trust them, so I know I'm ready.
There you go. Plus fight coverage at SRMMA.com. Thank you for talking to us, Cameron.
SRMMA.com for comprehensive combat coverage.
Also from SenCal MMA, Cameron Wright took on Jacob Pupo for the featherweight title in the Titans Cage event of the evening in 3 2-minute rounds. We got the opportunity to speak to Cameron. Cameron was a really awesome guy, so a big shout out to him. It was really interesting to hear his perspective. He was really excited and pumped for the featherweight opportunity. So let's hear what Cameron Wright had to say pre-fight. This is Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 4 with Cameron Wright. Just going to be fighting for the featherweight title. First and foremost, how's training been going so far for you?
Training's gone really good, man. I've switched everything up. I am coming off a loss, and a lot of people think that, coming into this, coming out of Stockton, I've only fought in Lodi. But, coming out to Sacramento and everything, it's not our home, but, I'll fight anywhere, and I bust my ass when I go out there and do whatever I can to bring home the win.
Well, 2 questions I had for you. First and foremost, have you been able to see any of your opponents' previous fight? And if you have, what do you think about your opponent? What do you think about this matchup? What do you think it's going to bring your way as far as challenging inside the cage?
Really, when it comes to Jacob, he's only fought once here in Camo. That's all I really know about. He won via triangle in the first round or something like that. Not too worried. I've been working a long time. I've been wrestling my whole life, and we prepare for everything. We're not a one-sided gym. We're an all-around gym, and we be ready to come out for war. We don't just play around. This is our life on the line.
Well, last question I wanted to ask you: what would it mean to you to come out of this with a featherweight title in an organization like Titans Cage that's been putting together a bigger, better show, and they're pretty respected as far as the amateur ranks is concerned?
It would actually mean everything to me. This is one of the most important moments of my life. Coming home from Afghanistan about a year ago now, I'm giving out everything that I can into this, and I've worked hard in the last 3 months training for this fight. I've gone through a lot of turmoil and trouble, and I'm doing whatever I can to come out of this. It would mean the world to me and the world to my girlfriend and her family that's here, and my SenCal family back here.
Well, there you go. Cameron Wright's going to be fighting for the featherweight title tonight at Titans Cage. Post-fight coverage at SRMA.com. Thank you for talking to us, Cameron.
No problem, man. Thank you.
And Cameron Wright, he came out very aggressive. He was able to reverse the takedown. He let Pupo back up in the first, trying to get him on the feet. And he was really stronger physically, dominant in the first round, and kind of made Pupo on his guard. And that was what, in the second round, stirred Jacob on to kind of bettering himself. He was able to get the takedown into full mount, and it was a back-and-forth battle, a very intense grappling affair. In the third round, it was really interesting because Wright was able to get some ground and pound for a good solid minute in the round, and then Pupo was able to reverse it into full mount, and it was a very back and forth war, and the judges gave the decision to Jacob Pupo, and we were able to speak to him post-fight, so let's hear what he had to say about his victory. This is Jay Watt from SRMMA.com. We're here live at Titans Cage 4 with a victorious Jacob Pupo. How does it feel, first and foremost, to get the victory?
Feels great, man. After a tough fight, things went my way, and I'm pretty happy about it.
Well, you're now the 145-pound titleist. What do you think that does for your career moving forward?
Time to step up the training and then get back to defending it and getting some wins, hopefully some finishes, some submissions, some knockouts, TKOs, whatever. I'm out to finish.
Well, Cameron Wright, he looked like a tough opponent. Can you explain how the fight went down for you and your thoughts on him now that you've thrown down inside the cage with him?
Oh, he was tough. He was quick. He hit me pretty good, but He wouldn't let me submit him, though. I'll give him that. And I got a couple sweeps on him, took his back, and I just felt good about it. And he's a tough kid. I give him props.
Well, you know, 2 more things before I let you go. What's the first thing you plan on doing tonight now that you're champion? You gonna get a drink? You gonna catch some food? I mean, what are your plans for the evening?
Going to McDonald's to have a party.
Well, last thing before I let you go, you know, and now that you've gone through another training camp, you pulled out another victory, and this one's for a title. Are you going to look to defend your championship in Titans Cage first, or are you going to look to try and get into another venue and keep the streak going?
Well, I'm fighting next month in NorCal Combat, try to get a title there, and yeah, I took this actually in 2 weeks' notice, dude. So had to cut a lot of weight, man. I was at 165 2 weeks ago and cut down, man. So hopefully I'll come back to defend it, see what's going on. I like the promotion. It was great, man. Good show. Best I've ever been to for a camo show.
Well, there you go. You can find post-fight coverage at srma.com and go to norcalcombat.com for ticket information for your next fight. The new featherweight champion Titans Cage. Jacob Pupo, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, brother.
With every show, your product can grow. Info at srmma.com for details.
And there you go. That was the man who took home the featherweight title. Remember that all of our coverage today will be brought to you by MMAGOLD.com. Let's get into some more of that national coverage. Like I said, Bellator 78 highlights for you guys that don't know. Bellator Season 7 welterweight tournament finalists, where they were set on Bellator 78 event, and we were able to get some of the highlight videos. So let's take a listen to what Bellator 78 had to bring with Koreshov. He was able to get his way to the welterweight tournament final. So let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Live every Friday night, it's Bellator Fighting Championships, coming to Spike in January 2013. Bellator 78 from the campus of Wright State University in Dayton, Ohio. We open in the middleweight division with Dominique Steele versus Brian Rogers.
Dominique Steele, I think they're referring to the steel in this guy's jaw and head. The shots he took against Brian Rogers. Brian Rogers landing rights, lefts, elbows over the top. Dominique Steele staying on his bike, angling out of danger, getting back to the center of the cage every time, but a much more measured pace from Brian Rogers, picking his shots from the outside. Dominique Steele always in his face, but took a ton of damage in this fight. But stunningly enough, Brian Rogers unable to finish. You see here this sequence, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots in a row, but Dominique Steele finishes out the fight but loses via unanimous decision.
Brian Rogers now 10-4 in his pro MMA career.